Battlefield Earth. Battlefield Earth is a 2000 sci-fi film based on a novel by Scientology founder L. Ron Hubbard, widely considered one of the worst movies ever made for its incoherent story, over-the-top acting, and bizarre creative choices. This isn't just a bad movie. This is cinematic waterboarding. From the opening minutes you realize you're strapped to a chair and John Travolta is the one holding the bucket. His performance as Turl, the alien villain with dreadlocks and a laugh so cartoonishly evil it feels like a Looney Tunes reject, could single-handedly power an acting class on what not to do. He bellows, he cackles, he growls through prosthetic teeth that look like they came from a dollar store Halloween kit. Every line he delivers sounds like he's auditioning to play Scar in a middle school Lion King production. The cinematography? Ah yes, the infamous Dutch angles. For reasons known only to director Roger Christian, and perhaps the ancient gods of bad taste, every single shot in this movie tilts sideways like the cameraman was on a sinking ship. If you made it to the end without vertigo, congratulations. You're built different. The Room. The Room is a 2003 independent drama film written, directed, produced, and starring Tommy Wiseau, infamous for being called the Citizen Kane of bad movies. This is not just a bad film. It is a cinematic black hole where logic, acting, editing, and narrative structure go to die. Imagine a movie written by someone who has never heard a real human conversation in their life, then directed by a man who is possibly an alien in disguise, and you start to scratch the surface of what The Room feels like. The acting? Wooden. The dialogue? Chaotic poetry from the void. The editing? Like someone shuffled the scenes with a blindfold on. The story? A man named Johnny, betrayed by his fiancée Lisa and his best friend Mark, but that's just the skeleton. The flesh on those bones is lines like, "Oh hi Mark," and sex scenes so repetitive you start questioning whether the editor hit copy-paste by mistake. But here's the thing. The Room is so incomprehensibly bad that it loops back around into entertainment. People watch it to laugh at its absurdity. Midnight screenings are now cult rituals, with audiences throwing spoons at the screen whenever a framed stock photo of cutlery shows up. The sheer incompetence became its own genre of comedy. This is why The Room is legendary. It proves that failure, if large enough, mutates into immortality. Wiseau didn't just make a bad movie. He accidentally invented a new form of communal comedy. It's not just so bad it's good, it's so bad it's eternal. If you're still watching this cinematic train wreck with me, you might as well hit subscribe. It's free therapy. Movie 43. Movie 43 is a 2013 comedy anthology film, infamous for being one of the most critically reviled Hollywood productions ever released. Imagine convincing Hugh Jackman, Kate Winslet, Halle Berry, Gerard Butler, and a dozen more A-list actors to star in a movie, only to trap them in the cinematic equivalent of a dumpster fire. That's Movie 43. It isn't a film, it's a hostage video with a Hollywood budget. The concept? A series of interconnected comedy sketches so grotesque, tasteless, and awkward that even describing them out loud feels like confessing to a crime. Kate Winslet's first sketch is her going on a date with Hugh Jackman, who happens to have a very realistic prosthetic scrotum attached to his chin. That's not a joke setup, that's the punchline. And it lasts, for minutes. From there, things only descend further into what critics lovingly described as a war crime against comedy. Halle Berry plays Truth or Dare in a way that makes you want to scrub your brain with bleach. Gerard Butler is a foul-mouthed leprechaun. Naomi Watts and Liev Schreiber bully their homeschooled kid. If you're not laughing, congratulations. You're normal. What makes Movie 43 worse than most cinematic failures is that it had the star power, the money, and the industry push to succeed. Instead, it became a case study in how Hollywood can weaponize fame into something unwatchable. It's not a guilty pleasure. It's not even funny bad. It's just bad. Monumentally bad. Cats is the 2019 live-action adaptation of Andrew Lloyd Webber's iconic musical, infamous for its horrifying CGI and surreal nightmare fuel. Let's get this out of the way. No one asked for this. No one. But Hollywood decided to spend $100 million turning Broadway's most surreal musical into a nightmarish CGI hellscape, where A-list actors prance around as half-human, half-cat hybrids with dead eyes and human hands. Yes, they forgot to CGI the hands properly. Yes, you can see Judi Dench's wedding ring. The plot, if you can call it that, it's basically a bunch of cats introducing themselves one by one while singing about being chosen to ascend to the Heaviside layer, which is basically cat heaven. But the actual experience of watching Cats is like being trapped in a fever dream where James Corden, Taylor Swift, and Ian McKellen are all furries trying to haunt your soul. Jack and Jill. Jack and Jill is a 2011 Adam Sandler comedy infamous for its unbearable humor, bizarre product placements, and Al Pacino's humiliating performance. If you've ever wondered what rock bottom looks like for both comedy and cinema, it's Jack and Jill. Adam Sandler stars as Jack, an advertising executive, and Jill, his obnoxious twin sister. Yes, It's Adam Sandler in drag, screaming in a voice so grating it could break glass. The plot revolves around Jack desperately trying to land Al Pacino for a Dunkin' Donuts commercial, which sounds dumb enough, until you realize Pacino actually agreed to be in this movie. Yes, that Al Pacino, Michael Corleone himself. And not only does he appear, but he dances, sings, and raps about Dunkin' Donuts in one of the most excruciating sequences ever put to film. This is the cinematic equivalent of blackmail. You can actually feel Pacino's dignity disintegrating on screen. And the worst part? The movie leans into it like it's comedy gold. In reality, it's comedy uranium. Toxic, unstable, and deadly to all who get too close. The Emoji Movie. The Emoji Movie is Sony's infamous 2017 attempt to stretch the concept of emojis into a full-length cinematic nightmare. This movie is the corporate equivalent of staring at your phone, realizing emojis are popular, and saying, "Yes, let's make that the future of cinema." What followed was 90 minutes of what feels like a hostage video sponsored by App Store ads. Instead of characters, we get yellow blobs whose entire personality is one facial expression. Gene, our hero, is literally the meh face. And yes, watching this movie feels exactly like that. Meh. If meh had a lobotomy. The plot? Imagine Toy Story, but instead of beloved toys with personality, it's your keyboard screaming in agony. The characters literally travel through apps, Spotify, Candy Crush, Dropbox, as if the script was written by a marketing intern locked in a conference room and told to synergize harder. There's even a scene inside Dropbox, the least cinematic app in human history. You know you're desperate when you're trying to inject suspense into a cloud storage service. And let's talk about the jokes. This is a movie where Sir Patrick Stewart, a knighted Shakespearean actor, voices the poop emoji. That's not a punchline I wrote. That's the actual casting decision. Somewhere in the multiverse, there's a version of Patrick Stewart who said no, and I envy him every day. Critics obliterated this movie. Audiences despised it. Even children, the literal target demographic, saw through the manipulation. The film is currently sitting with a 6% critic score on Rotten Tomatoes, and honestly, I think 6% is generous. This isn't just a bad movie, it's a war crime against storytelling. The Emoji Movie exists as proof that Hollywood's creative bankruptcy can sometimes get greenlit with a $50 million budget. It's a film that tried to cash in on pop culture, but instead became a cautionary tale whispered by parents to their children. Behave, or I'll make you watch the Emoji Movie. Again. The Last Airbender. The Last Airbender is M. Night Shyamalan's infamous attempt to adapt Nickelodeon's beloved animated series into a live-action blockbuster, and what came out was less a movie and more a war crime against storytelling. This was supposed to be the grand, elemental epic, bending water, fire, earth, and air into a visual feast. Instead, what audiences got was 2 hours of people slowly waving their arms while pebbles politely shuffled across the screen, like someone's dad trying Tai Chi in a park and accidentally kicking a rock. The names weren't even safe. Aang became Ong. Sokka became Sokka. Imagine taking one of the most beloved cartoons of a generation and mispronouncing the characters like you've never actually seen the source material. Spoiler, that's exactly what happened. The casting sparked outrage too. Beloved characters of color turned into bland, paper-white versions. It was like someone hit default Skyrim character and called it representation. The only thing diverse about the cast was the diversity of accents no one could stick to. And then there was the acting. Wooden doesn't begin to describe it. At least Wood has some grain, some texture, some life. These performances had all the emotion of a damp sponge. Shyamalan managed to take a vibrant, funny, heartfelt cartoon and turn it into a funeral dirge for childhood joy. The fans walked in hoping for soaring action, heartfelt moments, and maybe a little Appa cuddling. They left staring into the void, wondering if they just witnessed the single most catastrophic adaptation in cinematic history. To this day, The Last Airbender isn't just a bad movie. It's a curse whispered by Avatar fans in hushed tones, a warning to all future studios: respect the source material or prepare for annihilation. If you're still watching this cinematic train wreck with me, you might as well hit subscribe. It's free therapy.